Good evening, morning, afternoon. This is Railuge. Today we are covering a non-official SCP. As I stated in my other video, you can watch it here. I have gone ahead and come up with a couple ideas. So, since they're not official, I don't have, like, legitimate number to place it. And I don't want to just come up with a number because then that's going to collide with whatever number comes up later on. Also, for the longest time, I've been wanting SCP to have a television series. It would be interesting if it was along the lines of Warehouse 13, Friday the 13th, the series, the one where they're collecting cursed objects, just like in Warehouse 13, where not only do it goes like investigating the SCPs that have already been captured, but finding new ones or trying to contain ones that has been documented but not contained. So, and of course, with making my own story, I have to create a protagonist. I'll get to that in a bit, if you catch it. So, this is going to be the reading of SCP R001. Yes, R for Railuge. A little egotistical, I know, but I gotta mark it somehow. This is what this is. So anyway. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-001-R is required to be kept in a room with a singular bed. The bed is to be made up to simulate an actual sleeping bed. The entrance into the containment room comprise of 4 chambers. First chamber, the personnel will walk in and be informed to remove all of their clothing all the way down to bare skin. They're to hang the clothes on a hanger and then vacuum sealed in a plastic bag. As soon as the personnel's clothing is safely whisked away from the containment area, the personnel may enter Chamber 2. Chamber 2 will hold hazmat suits made from plastic with only one zipper. These hazmat suits will be have a diaper type fabric around the waist area in case subject has to use the restroom while they're in containment. However, it is recommended that all personnel use the restroom before doing anything with SCP SCP-R001. As soon as the subject has the hazmat suit properly on, he may enter the third chamber. At this time, the third chamber will not activate. Instead, they will wait 1 minute until Chamber 4 opens up. The personnel will enter Chamber 4 and again wait 1 minute and then enter containment area. Upon exiting, personnel will step into Chamber 4. Personnel will be instructed to remove hazmat suit, place it in the corresponding incinerator. Once the hazmat suit is properly incinerated, the subject will be instructed to step into Chamber 3. If the personnel refuses to enter either Chamber 4 or 3, or refuses to remove the hazmat suit, or refuses to throw the hazmat suit into the incinerator, subject will be terminated. Once the personnel has entered Chamber 3, the personnel will be instructed to close their mouth and hold their nose. Personnel will now be sprayed with low-leveled insect killing agent. This agent is only harmful to humans if ingested. They will then proceed to enter Chamber 2, which then will spray them down. When personnel enters Chamber 1, their clothes will be delivered back to them so they can get dressed. Description: SCP-R001 is a massive swarm of tiny bugs, approximately the size in length of 5 millimeters. They are in a blade leaf shape, with the usual insect limbs. Example: 6 legs, 2 little antennas, insect eyes, etc., etc. SCP-R001 enjoys living and sleeping in fluffy material. This material is to be washed on a weekly basis. I say wash, however, it's actually replaced and incinerated. SCP-R001 is apparently a mutated version of the common bedbug. All personnel is to refrain from calling SCP-0017 the mutated bedbug and refer to them as SCP-001. Any reports on having any kind of itching or desire to go and visit SCP-001-R, whether it be legitimate or a hoax, will be reprimanded, and subject will be placed in solitary confinement until it is determined if they actually have an instance of SCP-001-R on their person. If they do, subject will be terminated and incinerated. SCP-001-R seems to contain acute telepathic abilities. It seems that they can only communicate with a human if they are within approximately of 1 meter uninterrupted. They cannot speak telepathically across through the glass. SCP-001-R does seem to feed like a typical bedbug would. However, the spots tend to appear larger, about twice the size of a normal bedbug bite. No instances of SCP-001-R has ever been recorded to have expired. Regardless of the fact that we have SCP-001-R contained for expunged years. However, there's also no cases of SCP-001-R reproducing unless they have recently fed on human blood. Various testing. SCP-001 seems to be only interested in human blood. Testing Subject 1. A dog was issued into the containment site of SCP-001-R. No bugs were recorded to be found on the dog. Test 2. Pig. Seeing as how pigs are closely resemble human, a pig had been brought in to be in contact with SCP-001-R. No results. Test 3. Chimpanzee. Chimpanzee has been entered into the containment of 001-R. Chimpanzee seemed fine throughout the 4 sections. However, when the chimpanzee arrived into 001-R's containment, the chimpanzee had gone wild. It is unsure what was wrong with the chimpanzee. However, upon examination after terminating said chimpanzee, there had been no signs of any instances of SCP-001-R. Chimpanzee has been since incinerated. Test 4. D-Class personnel. A D-Class personnel had been entered into the room without the hazmat suit. When D-Class saw the comfortable bed, he walked right to it, laid down. He had been witnessed to sit up in slight shock, looked around, and called out, "Who's there?" Stopped for a minute, nodded, and laid back down. After this, D-Class personnel was just laying in the bed, murmuring, seemingly to himself. Occasionally, D-Class personnel would scratch his arms, scratch his legs, scratch his neck. After about 5 hours of direct exposure to SCP-R001, visible dots started appearing along D-Class's legs, arms, and the back of his neck. When instructed to get up and move around, D-Class personnel expressed the dislike of doing expressed movements. When asked again, he reluctantly got up, ran around, and then laid back down on the bed. When asked why he lay down on the bed, he sighed and exclaimed, "Because it's so comfortable," and then promptly fell asleep. D-Class personnel was instructed to wake up and head to the Section 4 to exit the room. D-Class personnel gladly obliged. D-Class personnel was then explained to, or then D-Class personnel was instructed to enter the third chamber, which then he refused. He had been asked several times. Each time he got angrier and angrier, and then he requested to be let back into the containment area. D-Class personnel was executed, or D-Class personnel was terminated and incinerated. And that seems to be it for the document on SCP-R001. Let me know what you think of this particular SCP. Now, keep in mind this is not a canon SCP. However, if you'd like to give me a suggestion on how to improve, I guess writing down is a bigger strength of mine than speaking. Do click on whichever thumb you think is appropriate. If you have your own idea for an SCP, my suggestion is to submit it on the actual forum, and or just make your own video talking about it. I don't care. Just go out and get it out there. No one can sue you on your idea. Unless it's another SCP, and then they'll be like, hey, that's just similar to this SCP, please change, or whatever. I don't know. And so until next time, stay redacted.